Well, good afternoon, Blackhawk family. Pastor Steve here. It's Good Friday afternoon, and I wanted to revisit a book I recommended to you a few weeks ago called Gentle and Lowly by Dane Ortland. Uh, that book has been a genuine encouragement to me, an ongoing encouragement. I could not recommend it highly enough. I think I'm responsible for at least a couple of dozen of sales of that book. So, Dane, you're not listening, but if you were, you're welcome. And thank you for a marvelous book. In chapter 3 of the book, he talks about the happiness of Christ. And that's something that I don't think about very often. And he mentions Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 and 2, which I'll share with you today as a brief Good Friday meditation. Hebrews 12, 1 and 2, following after Hebrews 11, which lists heroes of faith throughout the scriptures. And that we are surrounded, he says, the author of Hebrews, with this great cloud of witnesses. Therefore, since we are surrounded with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely. Let us run with endurance the race that is set out for us. And verse 2 says, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God. It's a remarkable thing to think about for a number of reasons. And I'll just talk about a couple of things in that second verse that are on my mind today. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross. We were going to remember that cross this evening here at the church and at 7 o'clock. I'd love if you come join us. But the joy that was set before him was the opportunity that his endurance of the cross presented to give us mercy. The great joy that he received at offering us mercy. It says later in verse 2 that he was despising the shame. And the word there, despising the shame, is scorning. Thought nothing of it. Crucifixion was, of course, a very shameful, very public, very painful. The word excruciating, which you probably know, comes from the word cross in Latin. It's painful, public, disgraceful. And Jesus said, I see the joy out ahead of giving mercy and grace to my children, and so I think nothing of the shame. It's a remarkable thought, friends, that he takes joy in showing us mercy and doesn't get tired of it. I just find that to be marvelous. At the end of verse 2, it says that he is seated at the right hand of the throne of God, which is his rightful place. And the one in the ancient world that spoke with the authority of the one on the throne would sit at that person's right hand, and it was a place of honor, and he's there. And the fact that repeatedly in Hebrews, the author of Hebrews uses the word seated. He sits down after his work is done. In ancient Judaism, the priest would never sit because the work was never done. The work of atoning for the sins of the people, the work of offering sacrifices on behalf of the people was never really completed. But when Christ offers his sacrifice once for all and for many, he sits down. His work is done. And friends, I just want to encourage you with that today, on a day that it's okay to feel sorrowful for at least a little bit about the great cost of my redemption. But I would encourage you with the truth that he takes great joy in providing for our salvation. He thought nothing of the shame, and that his work is finished, as he said, and he is seated at the right hand of God. His work is done, and all we need to do is rest in that work and rejoice in his perfect provision for our salvation. I'll be gone this coming week with my family on spring break. I hope to see you tonight. If I don't, have a wonderful week. We are in Friday now, and we shouldn't hurry past it. But the next time I will see you, we will have celebrated for the first time in our church sanctuary in several years, thanks be to God, the great truth of the resurrection, without which there really is no Christian faith. So, love you guys. It's a great joy to proclaim to you today the joy that Jesus has in showing us mercy and grace. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.